Hey, you're listening to the Hustle Report by Profit Duel, and today we're doing a deep dive, really getting into an opportunity it's captured the imagination of so many aspiring entrepreneurs. We're talking about turning podcasting into a thriving side hustle. So if you've ever, daydreamed about sharing your voice, your expertise, maybe even your most niche obsessions with the world, and actually earning something from it, then this deep dive is definitely for you. We're really aiming to go beyond just the surface level here. We want to pull back the curtain on the real potential, yes, but also the practical steps, the roadmap, and the genuine challenges too. And this is all informed by the extensive research and insights we've gathered right here at Profit Duel.
That's exactly right. Think of this as your practical guide to figuring out if podcasting actually fits your goals. Turning that passion into something profitable. We're not just gonna celebrate the idea. We want to give you a really balanced view. We'll cover the allure, absolutely, because it is alluring, but also every concrete step, the crucial things you need to think about, things you need to launch, and importantly, sustain a successful show. It's really about giving you the knowledge to make a smart decision and, if it feels right for you, to confidently take that first step.
Okay, let's unpack this right away then. What is it about podcasting? Why is it such a magnetic side hustle right now? I mean, it feels like everyone either has a microphone or is planning to get one.
Yeah, it does feel that way sometimes.
For me, I think the magic is in that mix of creative freedom and potential income down the line. You can genuinely talk about what you care about, whether it's complex stuff, interviewing cool people, or just, making people laugh. And you build this asset that could generate revenue, maybe without having to quit your day job immediately. That flexibility is it's super compelling.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is how the appeal stretches way beyond just the money part. So that's important, of course. Podcasting offers this kind of unparalleled sense of freedom. You create content entirely on your own terms.
Right. You call the shots.
Exactly. You pick the topic, the format, the schedule, and suddenly your voice, your perspective can reach people literally anywhere in the world. And when we look at the benefits, there are quite a few. First, there's that deep creative expression. It's a unique space for your viewpoint. And actually articulating your thoughts clearly for a podcast, it often deepens your own understanding. It's like teaching almost. It clarifies things for you.
That's a great point. I hadn't quite thought of it that way.
And you mentioned flexibility. And yeah, it's absolutely key. You can record, you can project episodes whenever it fits your life. Around work, family, that makes it genuinely doable as a side hustle for many. Then there are the networking opportunities, which can be huge.
How so?
Well, imagine reaching out to interview someone you really admire in your field, or collaborating with another creator you follow. That instantly expands your connections, professionally, personally, in ways that few other things can, especially just starting out. And we often forget about the personal growth.
Yeah. Tell me more about that.
Well, hosting a show, it forces you to sharpen your communication skills. It definitely boosts confidence over time. You have to dive deeper into your topic, learn things you didn't know. And honestly, it teaches you project management too, keeping everything on track.
Yeah, the project management side is definitely real. So
Yeah.
much goes into just one episode. But okay, that personal growth angle is powerful. It's not just the output, it's what the process does to you. But circling back, for anyone thinking side hustle, this is where it gets really interesting. That passive income potential. Now, passive, that word can feel a bit misleading sometimes with side hustles, right? How truly passive can podcasting become? And what's the real upfront work, the ongoing effort to even get it to that point? Because we are talking monetization here. Things like sponsorships, affiliate marketing, maybe listener donations.
That's a really crucial distinction to make because, yes, passive income in podcasting, it also comes after a pretty significant initial investment, mostly of time and effort. The passive bit really kicks in when, say, your older episodes, your back catalog, keep attracting new listeners, and those old episodes generate ad revenue or maybe affiliate sales without you actively doing anything new for them right then.
Okay, so it builds over time.
Exactly. So, for instance, sponsorships. That's where brands pay you to advertise on your show, usually based on audience size, your download numbers. Then there's affiliate marketing. That means you recommend products or services, things you genuinely use or believe in, ideally. And you earn a small commission if your listeners buy something using your special link. And listener donations, maybe through platforms like Patreon. That lets your most dedicated fans support your work directly.
Right.
But the key thing is, while these can generate income somewhat passively later on, building the audience, building the trust you need to make them work, that's anything but passive at the start. It's definitely a marathon, like you said, not a sprint. You're building an asset.
Okay, that's a really helpful, realistic picture. It's
Yeah.
not instant magic money. So, with that understanding of the allure and the work involved, let's shift gears to the how-to.
Hmm.
If someone's listening and thinking, okay, this marathon sounds like something I want to run, what are the absolute must-dos, the non-negotiables for getting started? Our research outlines some key steps, but let's get into the details. First up, choose a topic. And this isn't just any topic, right? It needs to be a niche, something aligned with your interests, maybe your expertise, or a specific audience you really want to connect with.
Exactly right. And looking at successful side hustle podcasts, it's often not just a topic, but a really specific niche where your passion meets an audience that isn't being served well elsewhere. Think like, I don't know, restoring vintage board games rather than just gaming
Yeah,
reviews.
get specific.
The narrower you go, often the easier it is to stand out and attract those really dedicated listeners. So once you've kind of nailed down that niche, you need to plan your episodes. This isn't just jotting down ideas. It's structuring your content, deciding on your format. Are you flying solo?
Yeah.
Doing interviews? Got a co-host? A common slip-up here is not thinking enough about the story or the structure of each episode. Even solo shows need a flow,
Yeah, you can tell when it's just rambling versus planned.
definitely. Then it's all about recording and editing, and I really can't stress this enough. Invest in a decent quality microphone. You don't need a professional broadcast studio setup, not at all. But some of those entry-level USB condenser mics, like a Blue Yeti or a Rode NT-USD Mini, they're often under $150, sometimes even under $100, and they make a huge difference in sound quality.
Okay, so audio quality matters a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it's not just the mic itself, it's also learning basic mic technique, like how far to be from it and thinking about your recording space. Acoustics. Honestly, even recording in a closet full of clothes can sound way better than a big echoey room. It absorbs the sound reflections.
Yeah, the classic closet studio. I hear about that all the time. It's practically a rite of passage. Okay, so you've recorded in your closet, you've edited out the mistakes. Then what? How does it get out into the world?
Right. Good question. Next, you absolutely need to choose a podcast hosting platform. These platforms, you've probably heard names like Libsyn, Buzzsprout, maybe Anchor. They're kind of the unsung heroes.
What do they actually do?
Well, they don't just store your audio files. Crucially, they generate your RSS feed. That feed is like the address for your podcast. It's what allows your show to get distributed to all the places people listen: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it. Without a host and that RSS feed, your podcast basically doesn't exist online in a way people can easily find and subscribe.
Gotcha. So host first, then distribution. Makes sense.
Yep. Then comes branding your podcast. And this is more than just, cool cover art, though that's important too. It's about having a consistent voice, a consistent tone in your show. Writing engaging descriptions for your episodes. Maybe even having some distinctive intro and outro music. This is how you build a memorable identity. Because let's face it, it's a crowded space out there.
For sure. You need something that sticks.
And finally, step 7, you have to promote and grow your show. This is ongoing. It's not just posting new episode out on social media once. It means maybe learning a bit about podcast SEO, how people search for shows. It means potentially collaborating with other creators, maybe doing cross-promotions. Guesting on other relevant podcasts can be huge too. And really engaging with your listeners, responding to comments, maybe building a little community somewhere like Discord.
Wow, okay. So it's quite a process from idea to actually having listeners. And running through all of this, that word consistency just keeps coming up. It sounds like the engine that drives everything, right? Keeping that audience coming back.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. A regular release schedule is just critical for keeping listeners and for growing. Listeners get into a habit with your show. They expect it. And while it sounds simple, just put out an episode every week or every 2 weeks. Consistency is often where many aspiring podcasters, well, they falter, which actually leads us directly into some of the tougher realities, the challenges.
You're right. This all sounds incredibly exciting, genuinely. But we need to be realistic, too. What's the real grind? The stuff hiding behind the shiny microphone. What are the significant challenges, the drawbacks maybe, that people really need to be aware of before they just jump in?
That's such an important question because, no side hustle is challenge-free. First off, there's the time commitment, and it's often seriously underestimated. Producing quality episodes takes real time. You've got research, maybe scripting or outlining, the recording itself, then editing, which can take longer than you think, and then that crucial ongoing promotion piece.
How much time are we talking, roughly?
It varies wildly, of course, but for a reasonably polished hour-long episode, you could easily be looking at, say, 4 to 8 hours of work, maybe more, especially when you're starting out. Finding those hours alongside a full-time job, family, other things, that's a real challenge. Strategies like batch recording, doing several episodes at once can help, but it's still a significant chunk of time.
Yeah. Batching seems key.
Second, while you don't need that pro studio, there is an initial investment. You need that decent mic we talked about. You need software for recording and editing. Now, there are free options like Audacity, which are great to start,
Yeah.
but paid options like Adobe Audition or even the audio tools in DaVinci Resolve offer more features down the line. And then there's that podcast hosting platform. Those usually have a monthly fee, maybe $10, $20 or more, depending on your needs. It adds up.
Okay, so some upfront costs are unavoidable. And then the competition. That's got to be a huge factor, right? Just the sheer number of podcasts out there.
It absolutely is. The podcasting world is highly saturated. There's no denying it. But while that sounds daunting, it also kind of forces you to be smarter. What we see is that many successful side hustle podcasts really thrive in those ultra niche areas
Yeah.
where maybe the competition isn't as fierce, but the listener passion is super high. So it's maybe less about being the biggest fish and more about being the right fish for a specific pond and being consistent for those listeners.
Find your tribe, basically.
Exactly. You'll also likely run into technical challenges, learning audio editing, figuring out recording techniques, understanding what an RSS feed even is, navigating the hosting platform. It definitely feel like a steep learning curve if you're not already tech savvy. Requires some patience, willingness to Google things, troubleshoot.
Yeah, gotta be willing to learn new skills.
For sure. And finally, tying back to that consistency point, there's a very real risk of burnout. Maintaining that regular schedule, constantly coming up with ideas, producing high-quality stuff, it can be incredibly demanding, especially if you're not seeing results quickly. It tests your resilience, your mental fortitude, just as much as your creative skills.
Wow. Okay, that's a very sobering but necessary reality check. Time, money, competition, tech hurdles, burnout risk. Lots to consider. So, knowing all of that, the big question for a side hustle remains. What about the money? The hustle part implies some kind of financial return eventually. What can someone realistically expect to earn? And maybe more importantly, when might they expect to see anything?
Yeah, that's where managing expectations is super important. The earning potential, it varies wildly, hugely. It really depends on your audience size, how many downloads you get per episode consistently. It depends on which monetization strategies you use and how effectively. And the kind of sponsorships or ads you can attract, which often relates back to your niche and audience demographics.
Can you give us any ballpark figures just to get a sense?
Well, our research points to some benchmarks. For instance, you hear the term CPM thrown around a lot. That's cost per 1,000 impressions. It basically means what an advertiser might pay for every 1,000 times their ad is heard or downloaded within your episode. An average CPM rate might hover around $25.
Okay, so $25 per 1,000 downloads for an ad spot.
Roughly, yeah. So if your show consistently gets, say, 5,000 downloads per episode,
Right.
and you have one ad spot with a $25 CPM,
Mm-hmm.
that could potentially translate to $125 for that ad in that episode.
Right. So as your audience grows, that potential scales up. But getting those first 1,000 or 5,000 consistent downloads per episode, that doesn't happen overnight, I'm guessing.
Not at all, exactly. Well, $25 CPM is a decent benchmark to know. It can fluctuate. Your niche matters, who your listeners are matters, the type of ad, and for a brand new podcaster. Reaching a consistent 1,000 downloads per episode, the level where some ad networks might start looking at you, that could easily take 6 months, 12 months, maybe even longer. A really dedicated effort.
Okay, so patience is key there too.
Definitely. Which means that initial income, it's often more likely to come slowly, maybe more incrementally, through other things first, like that direct audience support we mentioned, Patreon, things like that. Or maybe carefully chosen affiliate marketing links that really make sense for your specific content and audience. Of course, you hear the stories, the really popular podcasters with huge audiences. They can earn thousands, even millions annually through big sponsorships, selling merchandise, live shows, all sorts of things.
Right. The top tier is a different world.
It is. But it's just crucial for anyone starting out to understand that building a profitable podcast takes significant time and very consistent effort. Our findings really emphasize focusing first on providing immense value to your listeners. Focus on growing that audience organically, building that trust. Usually the money tends to follow the value and the loyal audience, not the other way around.
That makes a lot of sense. Value first, then monetization. So as we kind of bring all these threads together, it really paints a clear picture, doesn't it? Podcasting as a side hustle. It's this potentially really rewarding journey. But it absolutely requires that commitment, that consistency, and a very realistic view of the effort involved. It feels like it's about blending your passion with, well, practicality and a good dose of patience, and maybe not being afraid to experiment a bit, trying different formats, different types of content, and really listening to feedback from your listeners. That continuous improvement loop seems like what keeps a show alive and growing, making that marathon feel worthwhile in the end.
Absolutely. And thinking about all this, it kind of raises an important question, I think, for you, the listener, if you're considering this path. Given that competitive landscape we talked about, what unique perspective, what special value can you bring? Something that hasn't maybe been said or done quite the same way before. Like, what specific problem could your podcast solve for someone? Or what area of your passion, your expertise, could you translate into really compelling, original audio that connects deeply with a particular group of people? Thinking hard about that unique angle, that's often the very first and maybe the most important step in actually carving out your own space.
That's such a good point. It's not just about adding another voice, it's about adding a valuable voice, your unique voice. And maybe yours is the one someone's waiting to hear. So if this deep dive has sparked some ideas or maybe given you the clarity you were looking for, exploring the other resources and articles we have on Profit Duel could really help you refine your approach, figure out those next steps towards maybe building your own podcasting side hustle.
Or perhaps exploring other related side hustles we cover too, if podcasting doesn't quite feel like the right fit after all this.
Exactly. Find the hustle that works for you. That's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Hustle Report. Catch you next time.